So another Game Awards came and went. There were some games that were announced that I'm excited for, and the awards went in a way that I'm pretty happy with. But more importantly, I think we're seeing a shift in the video game industry that I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about right now, which I'll go into after we talk about the announcements. But first, if you enjoy the video and want more on games, pop culture, and art, feel free to like and subscribe, and do that hype thing that might do something. I don't know. And comment how you feel the awards should have gone, and any thoughts you have on this shift that I'm noticing in the industry. Bradley the Badger seems so down my alley. A game about video games that pokes fun at development is so funny to me. Like, I'm pretty sure this game is going to be about crunch, which is hilarious considering who's working on it. I'm a sucker for 3D platformers, and the mechanics in this seem super cool. My only fear is if the comedy works out or not, because I feel like a lot of times in games it is like pretty 50-50 if it's actually funny or not. No date is kind of surprising now. With the Knights of the Old Republic remake seemingly crashing and burning, I feel like Fate of the Republic rising from those ashes is probably the best timeline we could have asked for. As cool as it would have been to have a more modern version of Knights of the Old Republic, we could just get a new game that does that instead of a remake. That's really all the trailer offered. Maybe if you're super into Star Wars lore, you can like kind of figure out what they're doing with the story based off of what was shown off. It was just an excuse to say, hey, new Old Republic game. Hopefully we'll finish this one. A couple weeks before the Game Awards, there was that weird obelisk or whatever that showed up in like the desert or something. I legitimately had no idea what it could be. I saw a lot of people speculating that it was Diablo related, but I feel like they wouldn't do something like that for an expansion, and we're too close to Diablo 4's release for it to be Diablo 5. Funny enough, we did get Diablo news here, but it wasn't about that obelisk. It was for a new Divinity Original Sin game. In hindsight, that makes so much sense. I feel like that's the only thing that could have really been announced out of this right now. Kind of a disgusting trailer though. That was a theme at this year's Game Awards. Didn't get much out of this CG trailer. It's just nice to see the Baldur's Gate 3 devs are cooking up something interesting. Coven of the Chicken Foot is not what I was expecting from the talent behind it, but it seems like such a weird idea and I'm kind of down. It's something I would definitely need to see like more uncut gameplay of to see if I would like it or not, but it's a project I'm definitely interested in. The Resident Evil 9 trailer didn't really do anything to like sell me more on the game. It's something I definitely want to pick up at some point, but it didn't really move the needle at all. For me, the surprising thing about it is a playable Leon, because with him I assume it's going to be more actiony, and that's something I wasn't expecting out of like this third Resident Evil trilogy. They did say his section is going to be more action focused, which I'm going to be honest gives me RE6 flashbacks, and that makes me a little concerned. Order of the Sinking Star looks so cool, dude. It's just one of those puzzle games that has such a neat idea behind it that I know I'm going to love it. It's the same feeling I felt when I first saw Baba Is You and Patrick's Parabox, and then has the whole like I guess mechanics merging element to it, and I feel like this game is just going to be so good. It's coming out sometime next year, and I'm definitely super excited for it. Exodus seems pretty neat, but we're like so far out of it, I feel like I can't really get too excited for it yet. Sometimes with games like these, I just need to see like half an hour of uncut gameplay, you know? Around a month ago, I realized we were probably going to get a Control 2 trailer at the Game Awards. I just did the math with how Remedy announced Alan Wake 2. It happened at the Game Awards a year after Control's final DLC came out, and we are currently a year out of Alan Wake 2's final DLC. And as Jeff was introducing it, I did realize like, oh no, he's definitely talking about Remedy, and then I remembered, oh yeah, we're probably getting Control here. And I am so excited for this game. Based off the trailer, I'm going to guess that Jessie decided to kill her brother, which unleashes him and something else into the multiverse. So I guess it's going to be Dylan going through a massive AWE in New York, where dimensions are constantly blending together. I really hope we get to play as both of them. This is definitely my favorite announcement from the show. I am so excited for this. What is really surprising about this announcement is that it's coming out next year. I kind of figured it was going to be 2027, mostly because it took 2 years after Alan Wake 2's announcement to come out. But yeah, I'm so excited for this. This game's going to be so good. Gang of Dragon is the most like a dragon game to ever like a dragon. How the character models look and how it's shot just scream like a dragon. Not surprising considering who's making it. I think what's really funny about this announcement is that I was fully expecting Stranger Than Heaven to show up here. So it's just funny that we're getting a similar game to it. The whole thing with the Street Fighter cast is kind of hilarious. The movie looks stupid but fun. And based off of how many characters in this movie, I'm kind of expecting it to just be like 10 fight scenes. Like, I legitimately want like half of this movie to be people fighting. The entire night they kept teasing a new Tomb Raider game, and I guess Tomb Raider Catalyst is just going to be Tomb Raider of the Wild, purely based off of the shot at the end of the trailer, which like I'm fine with that. And we're also getting a remake of the first one. The remake's out next year, the new game's out in 2027, so it's a good time to be a Tomb Raider fan, I guess. The Elemental trailer for Invincible was very surprising, because initially with this game, my hope was that they were only really going to have characters that were already in the show, and then as new seasons come out, we get new season passes that add to the roster, just so things don't get spoiled for show watchers. So when Elemental showed up, I was like, oh, are they not doing that? Am I going to have to avoid this game because they're going to be putting spoilers in it? But no, she's a completely new character. I thought it was going to be Shrinking Ray because Rex did the lead-in for the trailer, but whatever, she seems cool. The game is coming out April 30th, and this is easily my most anticipated fighting game since like Smash Ultimate. Guess who noticed he didn't hit record on his camera? This guy. Luckily, the only part of this I was going to show on camera was the intro. Right now, I feel like the co-op genre is at a really interesting point. On one hand, we're getting some Haze Light-inspired games, which are the best co-op games right now, in my opinion. And on the other hand, we're getting a lot of streamer bait. Things like Lethal Company and Peak. Like, no offense to the people who made them or if you enjoy them. It just feels like they exist to have streamers overreact whenever something happens. So the audience thinks this game is actually fun and they go out and buy it. And then you do like 2 quotas in Lethal Company and realize, oh wait, this is kind of ass. So it makes me so happy whenever I see something like Orbital. It's such a unique art style. And again, showing me anything relatively similar to It Takes Two makes me happy. I will definitely force one of my friends to play this with me. I'm really curious how the Diablo 4 expansion is going to go. Not because I care about Diablo at all. I don't. It's because this past year for Overwatch has been really good. Like, legitimately the best gear the game has ever had, in my opinion. And I've heard some people saying that about World of Warcraft too. And to my knowledge, both of those things started development when Microsoft fully took over Blizzard. So excluding the initial wave of layoffs, which was legitimately heartbreaking, I wish that didn't happen, Microsoft is handling Blizzard weirdly well. So I'm curious if Diablo 4 is going to go through a similar renaissance that Overwatch and WoW did this year. We saw more of 007 First Light, and while I didn't need to see anything else, I think it is really good to show us the villain and who's playing him. It's a James Bond story, so the villain is really important to know going into it. I honestly think that's like the only thing I would have wanted them to show me. Like, guys, I'm going to be there day one no matter what. We got a very cyberpunk-y looking game. That's fine. I love cyberpunk. I'll play another version of it. There's nothing wrong with being heavily inspired by it, so I'm down. My only hope is that they don't take inspiration out of the buggy launch. Do I care about Ace Combat? No. Am I going to pick up Ace Combat 8? No. Am I super happy this game exists for Ace Combat fans? Yeah. I see a lot of people talk about this series, so it's just one of those things where I'm just so happy they get another game. Shoutouts to the Ace Combat fans. Out of Words showed up again and still looks great. So we're going to talk about this now, just because I've been going through this in order, and we didn't get a trailer for KH4. I cannot tell you how much salt was poured on the wound because of the Muppets song.
Kingdom Hearts Peak, Shovel Knight Fortnite.
You said Kingdom Hearts? Kingdom Hearts referenced? We did it. We got Kingdom Hearts on the Game Awards chat. Why did you do that to me? Jeff, you approved the song. You know there was no KH4 trailer here. Why did you let the Muppets reference Kingdom Hearts? What did we do to deserve this? I just can't believe that that was the only Kingdom Hearts thing at all during the Game Awards. While on the subject of Square not announcing stuff, we can all collectively agree that Final Fantasy VII Part 3 is coming out on the 30th anniversary of the original game. That's 13 months away. The Kingdom Hearts number, if you will. Where is it? Square? Like, I know no matter what, it's coming out January 2027. The time that it took them to develop Rebirth lines up with this. So, like, you're just not going to show it off? You're going to pretend we don't know that's when the game's coming out? At this point, when they show it off, the trailer has to end with the date. Don't even say a date. Just say on Final Fantasy VII's 30th anniversary. We'll get the idea. A lot of people are hating on the new Mega Man game for good and bad reasons. If you're just upset because it's Mega Man, that's a bad reason. Don't act like this took a spot away from another game that you would actually care about. That's not how these things work. If you're mad because you wanted a new Mega Man X game, that is the correct reason. You guys are valid in your anger. Also, the fact that it's coming out in 2027 is so funny to me. There's no way that a game of this size takes more than 3 years to make, so they are pretty early in development then. And the final announcement was Highguard. Multiplayer hero shooter that seems pretty fun. It's going to be free to play, so I'm down to give it a shot. My only issue with it is that considering it's from the Titanfall devs, I am a bit worried about the time to kill. For me personally, I hate really quick time to kill in shooters. So if fights end pretty quickly, I don't think I'm going to enjoy it. But hey, it's free to play, so not like there's any investment on my end. So that was all of the announcements. One thing I'm really excited for and a couple things that I'm down for. Ultimately, that's all I can really ask from the Game Awards. Outside of that, I guess I have to start asking, don't tease me with Kingdom Hearts? The hell did you do that, man? That was just mean. And in the intro, I'm going to have to reshoot because I didn't press record on my phone. I mentioned how this show was a sign of a shift in the video game industry. If you've been subscribed to this channel for a decent bit, if so, thank you. You should know that I have been saying for a pretty long time that we are heading towards another crash. I personally think GTA 6, if it ever comes out, is going to be the thing that breaks AAA gaming. I think publishers like Ubisoft, Xbox, PlayStation, and many others are going to look at that game success and think they need to be spending more money on games, which is the opposite. Games cost too much to make now. We need to be scaling things back, specifically with the graphics, in my opinion. Like, honestly, I think the most frustrating example of this is with the new Wolverine game. Insomniac has talked about being able to see the lines in Wolverine's teeth even after, like, blood falls through his mouth. And legitimately, there is zero reason to do that unless you desperately need it for a shot. That is scope creep at its finest. That legitimately adds nothing except to the budget. And that's why I think Highguard being the final announcement is huge, because it doesn't look jaw-droppingly gorgeous. It just looks good. I don't need to see the detail in the mud or the blades of grass because that doesn't affect anything about the game. And looking at that trailer, it does look like they're scaling back the graphics compared to other massive shooters, which to me feels like this team knows where to allocate their budget instead of inflating it way too much. And AA games tend to do that more. But I'm not saying all of this right now just because the last game that they showed off wasn't the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's because of who's making it. The other thing that's destroying AAA gaming right now is how they are just firing talent across the board, or pushing them away with corporate BS. And you really saw the repercussions of that in the show with a lot of the games that were announced. The final game was made by ex-Titanfall devs, and given Titanfall's history, they might be ex-Call of Duty devs. The Badger game they showed off was ex-Rockstar and ex-Ubisoft Milan, and that wasn't the only game shown off by ex-Rockstar guys. Gang of Dragon is from the creator of the Like a Dragon series, who left Sega, I think in like 2021-ish. The Star Wars Pod Racer game is coming from ex-Burnout devs, which I'm now just realizing I completely forgot to mention earlier. The Coven of Chickenfoot comes from ex-Naughty Dog. Across the board, I think developers are realizing that AAA games are becoming unsustainable to make. And I think now a lot of these devs are either getting fired or completely jumping ship to make their own thing. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more announcements like this in future Game Awards as the AAA industry continues to eat itself alive for the sake of profit. And what really proved this for me was Expedition 33 winning not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 8, but 9 different awards, because they are ex-Ubisoft devs. And let's take a gander at the previous Game of the Year winners in the 2020s, shall we? In the 2010s, it was Dragon Age Inquisition, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Overwatch, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, God of War 2018, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. All of those are AAA games, maybe not Sekiro and The Witcher. I don't know if those budgets were big enough to put them in that AAA category. And Zelda and Smash are the only games from Nintendo that get a big enough budget to be called AAA, in my opinion. And in the 2020s, it's absolutely ruled by AA games. So far, it's been The Last of Us Part 2, It Takes Two, Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, Astrobot, and Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The whole purpose of award shows, at least in the film industry, is to kind of show what future trends are going to be. It's the industry telling each other, hey, this aspect of this movie really worked. And that's why I'm happy Clair Obscur won practically every single award. The only two it lost was in audio design and the fan vote, which honestly, I don't care about the fan vote. Last year I said Astrobot needed to win to tell publishers, hey, tone it down a bit. You're spending way too much money on games. Because out of all of the big, massive games that were nominated last year, the silly little robot game won. Now the industry is just flat out saying, smaller teams with smaller budgets is the future. Yeah, GTA 6 won most anticipated game, but like whatever. We need more games like Clair Obscure. But because GTA 6 is so hyped and is also going to make like $1 billion in a day, like let's be realistic, I don't think publishers are going to be taking the right lessons out of this year's Game Awards. If I had to guess, we're not going to see as big of a crash as I was expecting, but I think we're going to see this publisher system fall apart in a similar way to how Hollywood crashed. You know, studios making really, really big budget sword and sandal movies just to get people into the seats, but then that just set an unrealistic sales expectation. The video game industry is about to hit that point, and this year's Game Awards is a sign of how it is going to survive. Honestly, I'm super happy like big publishers didn't win any meaningful awards. I think it was just Battlefield for audio design and like Donkey Kong for best family game. I see a lot of people are upset that Ghost of Yotai didn't win anything, but honestly, just for this reasoning alone, I'm happy it didn't. Same thing goes for Death Stranding and Donkey Kong and like every other big game from a big publisher that got nominated and didn't win anything. We are at a turning point in the industry right now. I honestly think Clair Obscure might lead to like a mass exodus of developers from AAA studios, because it really just proved that you can now leave your job where they crunch you way too hard, go make something you are truly passionate about with other people, and see mainstream and critical success. If you're upset that your favorite game didn't win Game of the Year, I get it. Kingdom Come fans are seemingly going through it right now. I just don't want to hear it if you say that Clair Obscure's gameplay loop is just pressing X the entire time. Because A, that's not even true for this turn-based RPG. Like, out of all the games to pick to slap that complaint onto, you picked the wrong one. And B, a higher APM doesn't make a game better. Like, do you play games to click a variety of buttons, or do you play games for the gameplay that you do with those buttons? On top of all that, I also really liked the speeches from the Clair Obscure team, specifically from the writer. I thought what she said about how art impacts you was really good, especially with the increase of AI art that we've all been forced to see. The reason why I don't think AI is capable of making art right now is basically what she said. AI did not live a life leading up to experiencing a piece of art. So that's why when you tell it to make something inspired by, let's say, Clair Obscure, Expedition 33, it is theft and not inspiration because it didn't feel what you felt when playing that game. It just has data on what that game is. Art isn't data. I think her and Jennifer English's speech are like my favorite speeches from the night. That being said, all of the Clair Obscure speeches were really good. TLDR, I guess. Expect a lot of games from ex-AAA studio devs starting their own thing. The AAA industry to continue falling apart because of a max exodus of staff, whether that be because they choose to leave or get fired. And GTA 6 is going to doom us all. Do you agree? Think I'm an idiot? Comment down below. Like the video if you think France really needed this W after that whole Louvre heist earlier this year, and subscribe for more content. Follow me on other platforms if you want. Take care, guys.